Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before starting, subscribe and like the videos, it really helps. The content from this video are taken from the web novel and manga series of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Now please enjoy the video. Volume 12 Chapter 4 Desert Ecology Part 1 Our trip in the desert began. My body was tense thanks to the surprise attack from the succubus. Perhaps due to spending the last few years in school, my intuition might have dulled. Although, my intuition was never that sharp anyway. These sorts of things are dependent on the feeling. This is the Begarito continent. It is different from the safe central continent. I may die if I'm not careful. Let's wear thick clothes for now. Making sure to keep well hydrated. Please tell me if the water in your flask runs out. Understood. We are wearing a hood and a coat. We aren't letting our skin get exposed. If Cliff was here, he would probably complain about having to wear thick clothes even though it is so hot. Even though we're in a desert, I can make water and ice with magic. However, we don't know what might happen. Neither me nor Elinalise know the proper ways of traveling through the desert. I have to make sure I don't suddenly get heatstroke and become unable to use magic. The direction we should advance, well, is north fine? Yeah, I'm in your care. Looking at the map, the closest town is due north. Elinalise began walking precisely north without relying on a compass. The elves do not lose their sense of direction even within a dense forest where you can't see the sun. With her decades of experience, Elinalise can move straight in the correct direction. Although, even without being an elf, there are many people in this world who can safely arrive in the village as long as they have a map. It probably comes from experience. Anyway, it's hot, isn't it? Should I make rain fall on this whole region? You'd better not, monsters will come. In any desert, living things seek water. In the great forest as well, during the rainy season lizard-like beasts came out in large quantities. However, I heard that the beasts of the Begarito continent are weak to cold. If the time comes, I will freeze the whole area. Obviously making sure I don't drag Elinalise into it. While thinking such, I followed Elinalise. Just in case, I confirmed the position of the stone monument as well. Part 2 It's the first time I have ever walked in a desert. It feels like my foot is buried in soft sand every step I take. It's good that I got used to walking in the snow in the northern lands. Although, I can't say it's the same thing, the burden on my legs is about the same. Like this I won't have any problem even walking through the whole day. Or that's what I thought, but I was exhausted after walking for just a few hours. The strong sunlight must be affecting me. The strong rays and hot winds raise my body temperature and make me dizzy. Although, I am regulating my body temperature by replenishing fluids, the lethargy that occurs is beyond control. Perhaps I should have made at least one cloud in the atmosphere. Compared to me, Elinalise was full of energy. Rudeus, unexpectedly you have no stamina, do you? Well, I think the sand is fine since I am used to walking in snow. But I can do nothing about the heat, but I'm sure if it was Cliff or Zenoba here they would have collapsed long ago. I think it was the right call not to take them along. As I thought the warriors of this world have monstrous stamina. Perhaps this is thanks to fighting spirit. I'm jealous. Still, the heat is dangerous. It feels like my sweat evaporates the instant it comes out. When I was in the northern lands, the cold was dangerous. Back then I just used magic to raise the temperature in the space around me. It was an application of the fire magic, burning blaze. If I tamper with that it might be useful here. I'll try activating it right now. Oh, that feels nice. Did you do something? I tried lowering the air temperature around us. It feels like the temperature dropped something around 5 degrees Celsius. It's still too hot. This flashiness must be because of the never-ending sun. Even though I am wearing a hood, the top of my head is burning. It might have been good to prepare a parasol. For now, I walked forward while lowering the temperature around me and froze a water flask to put under my clothes. If it melts I will freeze it again with magic. This made me feel a lot better. Like this, I can handle the heat. Part 3 During the day, we encountered several beasts. What we first saw looked like a big scorpion. About 2 meters I'd say. The tail was separated into two and each attacked by moving separately. According to Elinalise it was a twin death scorpion. Because the tails emit deadly poison, you can't treat it without intermediate detoxification. It's good that I learned it. The twin death scorpion had a somewhat hard shell, but its movement was slow. After Elinalise stopped its movement, I shot a single rock bullet. It was an opponent we could defeat in 2 seconds. It seems to be B class, but the affinity with the party was good. It's a small fry. However, if it was Elinalise alone it would be a close fight due to her lacking a bit in attack strength, it seems. Phew, it's pretty big, isn't it? Isn't it pretty normal? About the same size as the beasts on the Demon Continent. Well, now that you mention it. The beasts on Begarito Continent are weaker than the ones on Demon Continent. That's what I heard, so this size was a bit of a surprise. I expected the size to be about half of this. This one might be especially big compared to the others, right? The one you meet first being the best is something you hear often. No, it's not. Well, maybe the opponents in this area are just stronger. That might be the case. While conversing like that, we hurried forward. The next thing we saw was a Trent. This monster is really everywhere, isn't it? This time it was formed into a cactus. By the way, it's called a cactus Trent. It's a C-rank monster. It came in shooting needles and used something similar to earth magic as well, but still it was nothing special. I feel sort of relieved whenever I find a Trent. It's something you find everywhere after all. It's like a slime. You only find slimes in caves though? Don't mind me just talking to myself. Anyway, you can't really make this cactus into firewood, can you? It has absorbed too much moisture after all. If you have no magic, though, it's a thankful existence. Elinalise can currently use water magic as well. Although I thought she was skipping classes, it seems she was properly learning whatever she could. Then that thing suddenly appeared. Enemy attack. While suddenly shouting that, Elinalise took a backstep. In the next instant, something big came out of the ground where Elinalise had been. It's an earthworm. With a thickness of 1 meter and a length of about 5 meters, a giant worm burst out of the ground. After making a weird, backen sound in midair, it immediately dove underground again. Phew, that surprised me. What was that? It was a sandworm. A bit big though. Sandworms are a monster that waits motionlessly in the earth waiting for prey to pass above, at which point they burst out of the ground to eat it. Although I didn't see any, it seems there are similar monsters in the Great Forest. Just the size is different. The one in the Great Forest is apparently around 20 to 30 centimeters in diameter. It's not really a threat to humans. There are big ones in the Demon Continent as well, right? Have you seen any? I only saw snakes and wolves in the Demon Continent. And some weird armor. When you say armor, do you mean Soulbreaker? No, it was called Executioner or something like that. It had a big sword. Oh, the stronger one. It's not something you want to meet alone, is it? Anyway, Begarito Continent's sandworms are big. Just the part that came above ground was already 5 meters long. If you include the part underground, in total it might come close to 10 meters. It was at a size where it could swallow a human whole. Something like that was lying in wait underground waiting to backen if something passed by. It's a kind of instant death trap. Although, if you dodge the first attack, putting an end to it is not hard. If you put the sandworm underground in a mixer with earth magic, they will instantly die without even a death shriek. The bodily fluids collect into a puddle above ground. It's a bit gross. I wonder how magnificent of a butterfly would be born from a caterpillar this big. It might unexpectedly turn into a succubus, you know. The butterfly of the night, or something. Oh, then Elinalise-san must have been born from a caterpillar. Foo-foo, I did have a caterpillar-like period once. She won't deny being part succubus either. Anyway, I wonder what a caterpillar like Elinalise was like. Maybe a girl with glasses sitting in the library. Or maybe wearing overalls doing farm work in the fields. If you showed Cliff a video of those days, he would probably get aroused. The gap is a splendid thing after all. The last thing we encountered was an ant. We discovered it after climbing over a sand dune, and the instant Elinalise discovered it, she immediately pushed me down. After finally climbing to the top, we rolled halfway down. What is this suddenly? It's a swarm of phalanx ants. Phalanx ant. Even if you say that, I have no idea what it is. For now, imitating Elinalise, I slowly crawl up the hill. In front of me was Elinalise's ass packed in hide trousers. As usual, Elinalise has a nice ass. Sylphy might have something like this as well when she's about 20. Right now it's a small ass, but it's still plenty attractive. Move quietly so we don't provoke them. We arrived at the peak of the dune. Hiding behind the slope, we tried observing the swarm of phalanx ants. There, a swarm of bright red ants moved in files of troops. If I were to estimate the size, they're about 30 centimeters to 1 meter big. There are both big ones and small ones. Their forms vary as well. There are some with wings and some with an upper body like a human. While making noise, those ants were marching along heading towards a single point. Simply said, it's an army of ants. The army of ants looked like a red river. The length was from the horizon to the other side. It was a line of terrifying length. With that size and amount, they can easily be classified as S-class. Wow, S-class is it? For reference, please give me an explanation. The phalanx ant is one type of the strongest monsters which consume everything on their path. There are some in the Great Forest as well, but this size must be a characteristic native to the Begarito continent. Phalanx ants are a variant of army ants. Even though they're ants, without making a nest they earnestly travel while consuming everything on their path. Although there are several natural enemies, if it's an opponent walking on the earth, even if it's a stray dragon, it will be consumed. And then, when a certain season comes around, they make a nest and switch with the next generation. Up to this point they're like normal army ants. However, perhaps due to being a monster, their intelligence and aggressiveness are apparently higher than normal army ants. For example, if we made a grand appearance from behind the dune, even if we took no hostile action, they would change direction to come attack us, it seems. They're not that strong one-on-one. From what I can tell, the small ones are E-class and the large ones are from D to C-class. But still they are C-class at most? From what I can tell, there are a lot more than 1 or 2,000 of them. The number of monsters in the swarm is taken into account in the monster ranking system in this world. Even if they're D or C class, if 10,000 small fries come together it's easily S class. In a certain game in my previous life, ants 3 times as large as humans came out in large quantities. But it's not necessary to be that big. The monsters in this world are awfully good at moving around. Oh, that one is the queen. Elinalise pointed at a certain point in the swarm. There was an especially large individual. The ant was more than 2 meters long, with a woman's body growing from its upper body. It gave off the feeling of the hive queen. I'd say stun must be its weak point. In my previous world, the queens of army ants were at most 50 millimeters big. Taking that into account, that phalanx ant is 50 times the size of it. It's a threat. This world has awfully many monsters that group together. For some reason they are also good at group tactics. That's why I don't want to fight those ants. I'm sure the instant I try to meddle with them they will rush at me in a beautiful Roman circle formation. There might even be ants that use magic or launch long-range attacks at me. There might be a chance of victory if I used a large-scale magic attack that could wipe them out. No, if I used something like that we would take damage as well. Hey Rudeus, why are you making a face like you're ready to fight? Fight? I wouldn't do something like that. You were making a face like you were planning on how to attack the ants if we fought. I wouldn't make a belligerent face like that. Which combat race would I belong to? I'm not getting excited. Nah, I was just thinking about how to escape if they noticed us. Then it's fine. We are going to wait until the swarm has passed through. Understood. I agreed with Elinalise's plan. It's not like my experience points would go up even if I dispersed them. Even if I grabbed materials to sell them for gold I wouldn't be able to carry those red and hot-looking shells in this damn heat. Let's avoid danger. Our objective right now is to arrive in Lapon after all. Not to raise my achievements. It wouldn't be good if something like reconnaissance became the duty of our mission. After about an hour, the ants disappeared. That's it guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want more and don't forget to like the videos.